To truly live is to remember that one's purpose is to have a meaningful impact on the world. That was the opening line of a scholarship letter from a nursing student. I'm a registered nurse and the Vice President of Nursing and Patient Care Services at NYU Langone Orthopedic Hospital. I am also a nurse philanthropist, and I have read hundreds of scholarship letters. I personally fund scholarships for nursing students in financial need. Nursing is one of the largest professions in the world. Yet, according to a 2023 study by the American Nurses Foundation, nursing receives about 1 penny of every healthcare philanthropy dollar. When people hear the word philanthropy, they often think about major gifts and large foundations. Those generosities are incredibly vital. But philanthropy can also begin in much more personal and smaller ways, and can live in the everyday decision to see a need and invest in someone else. I grew up in St. Thomas, Jamaica, one of the poorest parishes on the island. I lived in a small 2-bedroom house with an outhouse toilet, an outdoor kitchen, an outdoor shower, and 9 family members. I was 1 year old when my mom left to work in the United States. 11 years later, I joined her in Brooklyn, New York. I knew at an early age that my mom struggled financially, not because she ever complained, but as a child, I could read the eviction notices that frequently appeared on our door, and I knew what they meant. And one day, I asked her about them. "Kim," she said, "don't worry about them. Them always put them there." She said it like the notices were simply the morning paper landing on our doorstep. I later learned that during those years, her annual income was $24,000 supporting a family of 4. For 30 years, she worked full-time as a certified nursing assistant in a nursing home in Harlem. But my mom always wanted to be a registered nurse, a nurse who holds a college degree and has a registered nurse license, but didn't have the ability to accomplish her goal due to financial restraints. Nursing is a profession where your knowledge, your judgment, your presence, and your humanity can mean the difference between life and death for another person. And it's a profession we can't afford to have other students locked out of due to lack of funding and support. Yet, it happens more often than most people know. I know this because I lived it. I was a first-generation college student struggling to afford basic school expenses. During college, I worked as an office assistant as part of a work-study program, a patient sitter at a cancer center, a children's after-school program aide, and served as a resident advisor overseeing 2 floors of college students in my dorm. And I still could not afford a bus ticket home for Thanksgiving. In a quiet moment of frustration at 20 years old, I made a promise to myself. When I become a nurse, I will help other students achieve their dreams. In my 30s, I returned to school for my doctoral degree at Yale. And one day, while trying to figure out my own tuition and school expenses, I remembered that promise. I then contacted Miss Grant, a teacher I had known while growing up in Jamaica, and I requested her help in arranging my very first scholarships for students in financial need. Ms. Grant connected me with 2 students. The first recipient was Vanessa, In her scholarship letter, she wrote about her love of literature. Her mom was ill. Her father was struggling to hold the household together. Her school fees were overdue, and some days she went without lunch. The second recipient was John R. In his letter, he wrote that he wanted to be a scientist. He had 6 siblings, no financial support, and textbooks he couldn't afford. Each student needed 13,000 Jamaican dollars for school fees, which at the time was 120 American dollars. I read their letters, reviewed their report cards and their references, and paid the fees directly to the school. Ms. Grant then told me the very church I attended as a child was holding a fundraiser to help college students with tuition and school supplies. I told her I wanted to help. I then wrote an email to 24 friends. Subject line, tuition fundraiser. I set a goal of $600. Not everyone replied, and I didn't reach the goal. But as I stood at Western Union to transfer the $350 I did raise, I felt a sense of joy and impact. That moment taught me that impact does not require wealth. It requires a decision to act, to turn compassion into action. What started as a promise to myself became a commitment because I knew what it was like to have the ability, the determination, and the dream, but lack the resources. And so over the next 12 years, I funded scholarships for students in the United States and the West Indies. During that time, I read scholarship letters from nursing students describing their struggles and their dreams. In 2025, I received a scholarship letter from a student who was referred to me by the dean of her nursing school. Her name is Alexa Bell. She's a first-generation nursing student who is determined to be a nurse. Sadly, while she was in nursing school, she lost her mom to breast cancer and needed additional tuition support to complete her degree. Her scholarship letter opened with, "To truly live is to remember that one's purpose is to have a meaningful impact on the world." I supported Alexa Bell with a scholarship, and she's here tonight and will begin to make her impact in 2 days when she graduates with her Bachelor's of Science in Nursing. When I read letters like Alexa Bell's, I remember why I made that promise to myself and why philanthropy in nursing matters. There are 4.7 million registered nurses in the United States. 1/4 of them plan to leave the profession or retire within the next 5 years. That is more than 1 million nurses. Gone from the ICU, gone from your child's recovery room, gone from your parents' hospital bedside. The need is growing, and we're not in a position to only celebrate the nurses who make it through. The word philanthropy comes from the Greek, philos meaning love, anthropos meaning humanity. Philanthropy means the love of people, and at its essence, that is nursing. So when we apply that kind of love structurally by creating scholarship programs, financially by not waiting until you feel wealthy to give, and intentionally by making a conscious decision to act, it doesn't just impact healthcare, it shapes the world we all live in. So, how do you apply that love? Begin with a commitment now. Support a program in your community, at your hospital, at your alma mater. And let's talk about philanthropy in nursing and celebrate its value and impact on care. When we invest in nurses, we're not simply supporting a profession. We are protecting the hands like Alexa bells that will one day hold yours. Thank you.